What is up?
What is up? What's going on?
Oh, ¿cuál es el mejor de aquí? Is all I got
¿Cuál es el mejor de
say there, my guy.
aquí?
Oh my God, I know Spanish now. That's not true.
Well,
I know those words.
Don't
I
get
know
too
some
ahead of
Spanish.
yourself.
No.
Yeah, don't get
I
too ahead of
am
yourself here.
a world-class Spanish speaker.
You're so right. Could you say that in Spanish?
Yeah, it's soy.
Soy el mejor de todo el mundo de hablar en español. Fantástico. Very nice. Very nice. Very good. What up, Leah?
And of course, I
How you
DM'd that to
doing?
him before he said it, so you're welcome for that.
Jose G said, how much of the inspiration for Soon came from the ordinary folks jumping O? I would say, like, none. I'd just like bouncing balls.
Balls be bouncing, am I right?
Hola, Masamba. How you doing? How you doing? We're back.
Good. We're back. We have returned
Noah looks
from
so
our
much more
retreat.
tan. I
look more tan.
I look kind of similar, probably just because my color correction already made me look kind of tan. But that's okay.
But we
Jose
are both
said-
more tan. It's true.
Jose said, soy el mejor hablando español. He's the best at speaking Spanish. Wow.
Blando.
Boy, do I feel silly now. But anyway, what's going
I'll take
on,
second
y'all?
best.
We got plenty of things to talk about today. We haven't seen you in forever. It's been a week.
How you guys been doing? I've missed you.
I swear we were gonna try and do the show from there, and it was gonna be the Dominican motion show. It was gonna be hilarious. We were gonna have like little hats and stuff, but the connection was just terrible. We were barely able to load like our bank page on our phone on the Wi-Fi and stuff.
I couldn't even get Notion on my laptop, so
Yeah.
it was going to be rough if we were going to try that. It just wouldn't have worked,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But next time.
Yep. Next time we'll make it happen. We'll get Starlink or something. So we'll have like fiber internet wherever we go. It'll be great. Sam says the sunburn. You do look,
I am no longer sunburned.
but you do look kind of pinkish. Just a
Why,
little bit.
thank you.
Just a little bit. Just a little pinkish. It's okay.
This is where the sunburn was on that forearm.
But it's tan now, dude.
tan
Dude, I
now.
just look. This is not doing it justice. I
You
swear.
look pinkish to me.
Well, maybe it's just because I've looked at myself in the mirror many times, so I just don't know. I just don't know. But what are we gonna?
You autoerotic motherfucker.
What can I say? We're gonna reflect on the retreat for a little bit. For context for everybody, this was the first time that all of the Ravie team, minus Will, met each other in person. It was
That's
crazy.
true.
It had just been Noah and I hanging out so far, and like we met Ronell whenever he worked here. But this is a very different thing, you know. We had a big old team that we got to bring. So we're gonna reflect on that. We're gonna talk about it's like you guys. All this other shit was going crazy while we were on vacation. So now we got to talk about this corridor crew controversy and all that crap. All you AI mobsters out here.
Talk about Figma for a
We're
second.
talking about Figma because apparently their deal might not be going through. We'll be talking about
What
that.
the heck?
And then, of course, down in the description, there is ultimately that link to submit your work for critique. And we will be severely roasting people's work because Noah was able to absorb all of his sunburn, and now his just internals are all burnt and mad, and so he needs to take that out on somebody.
I need to burn someone else.
Exactly.
It's not my turn anymore. It's all y'all's turn. Let's go.
So we'll do that. And then, of course, we have our Rex of the day. I didn't even have to frantically look any up this morning because I already had some. I had already seen a couple while I was on the retreat, so I've got some in the bank.
Already have some.
Also, y'all that love the vlog, even if you don't love it, you better watch it because we're going to be able to get like 4 episodes out of that retreat, and it's going to be amazing. I'm going to be so happy to be able to look back at those.
Or at least 2.
At least 2.
And they're going to be
great.
Fun. And there is... At one point, Austin was a crab chasing people around. So
I was
forward
in the water and out of the water.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
we were crabbing. We saw
crabby.
crabs. We were crabs.
I stepped on a sea urchin. Noah palmed a sea urchin. Barbara almost broke her nose, and also stepped on a sea urchin. It's a whole thing. We had a great time.
It was so much fun.
But
so get ready for that.
What I want to do here on this here show is talk more about just what the retreat felt like, what that was like for us as a studio, and like especially you and I, just what that was like bringing all these people together and those sorts of
For the
things.
first time.
So,
Austin, I have a question for you.
what is your question?
Do you feel some pride? Do you feel proud that we were able to make it happen?
I do feel quite proud. And honestly, it felt really great to have made that big of a push last year to be able to be on that retreat and really not have to worry about like financials or anything like that while we were there. You know, we don't have like super huge expenses or anything outside of the team. So we were pretty easily able to just be like, oh, okay, cool. We can just go and do this. We don't have a project that we have to do right now. So we're good. And I don't know, also from just like a logistical standpoint, I was proud of being able to get everybody there, you know? It just, yes, to all encompassing answer, yes, very much happy pride going on. But what about you? What pride did you have? It may have been different from my pride.
It was just really cool to be like this. We are the, somewhat organizing factors in this
Group of
bringing
people.
all these wonderful, lovely people together, and
Yeah.
I feel humbled and proud that all these wonderful, talented people want to work with us. And I think that's fantastic.
I was
So,
glad we made everybody feel secure enough to, despite not having met us ever before in person, feel totally comfortable just flying across the world to go and meet us and just not think they were going to get murdered. That's pretty cool, you know?
That is
We
extremely
could have been
cool.
playing the long con, and we still could be, so watch out, y'all. Keep you on your toes.
I had such a good time. I had such a good time.
No, I do too. Do you have a highlight? Can we get some highlight and then lowest
yeah.
point? Highlight and lowest
All right.
point?
There was a day. I know this is kind of a broad highlight, but there was a day where we went to an island called Saona Island. And the first beach on that was the best beach I have ever been to and may ever go to.
Yeah. I really don't know if we can possibly top that.
That was so perfect. Austin and I.
I'll pull up some of the footage as we're talking about these things just to show it. But
Austin and I floated out a little ways, and all of the homies were all hanging out together. It was Austin and I just chatting, and that was definitely one of the highlights. That whole day, I think, was one of the highlights of the entire trip. It was probably the most fun I've had in a really long time.
Yeah.
I had such a good time. But honestly, I want to say every single dinner that we went out to eat was such a good time. We had our mojitos.
Oh, dude.
And the food was always fantastic.
It was so good.
And sorry if I'm making anyone jealous right now. You should be. Just like hanging out with everyone, making jokes, eating great food. Every single dinner was such a highlight. And I think that is probably just like the most consistent thing. It's like every single dinner I looked forward to, and when I sat down, it was such a good time.
Agreed. That whole day was like one of the best days of my entire life. It was
so good.
That was just once in a lifetime experience after once in a lifetime experience. I was so glad that we booked that extra excursion to go and do that.
Yeah.
Kind of last minute too. I'm trying to figure out which day it was. Not that one. Sorry. Everything's loading.
Also, there were like these little anemones. I remember this because I think I'm stepping on a little stick right now, which now that I'm looking at it, looks like it's actually from the Caribbean.
That's hilarious.
Looks like I brought a little stick with me. They were these little anemone guys, and when you touched them, they would be like both soft and sticky and kind of hold on to your finger for a second.
It would like grab you in almost, like it would kind of pull you in. It was weird.
It was super weird. That was probably a highlight as well because those were so strange feeling. I just had such a good time.
I just never would have thought that's what that would have felt like.
I was like, that is truly a texture I've never felt. And sometimes most of the coral there, or at least a lot of it, is like dead. but there were some that was still alive. And
I mean,
when you,
any of the ones that the urchins were on were still alive.
it had bits of it that were still alive, but for the most part, I think that was dead. Um, there was one type that it would like it felt like a rock, and then it left like a slimy residue on your hand, and it was very strange feeling. No, I didn't go around purposefully running up and grabbing all the coral, but sometimes
No,
this texture, you just
single-handedly
gotta-
disrupting the ecosystem.
I am
He was taking the anemone and was just like, "Mine, please, thank you. I'm taking this home."
ate it right then and there.
Terrible American over here. Jeez.
There were a lot of really interesting things to look at under the water, and we did get snorkel masks on the last day.
We did, and it was so worth it.
It was so worth it.
We
saw so many weird
absolutely needed
fish.
to do that. This is the island we were talking about. Apologies for the vertical footage here, but just look at how blue that water is. And I mean, everybody else had better footage than this, but I'll try and find some of the sand or something. Oh wait, okay, I got some. I had footage like while we were in the boat, I guess. There's Jackson. He's real. He exists. I gotta see if I can find some from somebody else, but
There's some in mine.
it was like just 3 football fields length forward of just like waist deep water, and it was all so warm and so unbelievably clear, and the sand felt like baby powder. It was nuts. Is this one at the? Yeah, this is at the. Yeah.
This is that beach.
This is the whole beach. And they took us to it because there's not a whole lot of tourists that go to this one. And it was super early in the morning, so there was nobody there. It was just our group, and that was it. Look at that. Like, come on. It doesn't get better than that. And this isn't even doing it justice because there's no color correction or anything on it yet, but like, holy shit. And we did scrounge around and find a 360 GoPro on this trip. So
I have
we've
it
got
with me right now.
all sorts of fun footage that's not uploaded here yet, but it'll be good. But man, that day, absolutely my highlight of the trip. So many good things happened that day. Just to give everybody a little rundown of that itinerary. And I didn't even know half of this stuff was going to happen when we booked it. So okay, we leave super early in the morning so that we can get there before all the tourists get there and whatever. Austin says, looks like such a nice spot. Absolutely. Leah says, was the sand hot? Actually, surprisingly, no. It was really soft, and I think just because it was so fine, it didn't really like pack the heat as much, but
It was also like very white, so it kind of reflected a lot of heat. It wasn't
true.
It didn't absorb it like a black sand beach
Oh god, yeah, I can't even imagine that.
would kill our feet.
Yeah, that would have been terrible. So we get up super early. Then we get to the port where all the boats are, and then we take our speedboat. We get over to this beach, or no, not this beach first. We get over to this town where we see this sea turtle sanctuary and eat breakfast and all that stuff. I'm going to go really quickly through this because there's going to be a whole vlog where you actually see all the details. Then we go to this beach. Then after that, we go to this other one that was more crowded and where most of the tourists go, and we had lunch there. Then right after that,
yummy.
Then right after that, they took us and they were like, oh, okay, we're going to go see starfish. And I was like, well, okay, I didn't know that was going to happen. But they just take us right out in the middle of the water. But it's only like, I don't even know. Would you say it was waist deep or like knee deep?
It was like, I would say it's like 4 feet deep at places. And then it got a little deeper in some areas.
But generally, it was really shallow, and it's also like right by where they filmed Survivor, which I didn't even know was.
Yeah,
filmed
we
in
saw the
Dominican.
crane. We saw them filming.
They were filming there while we were there, and I was
Saw
like,
the big crane
okay.
arms moving with cameras on them. It was very interesting.
Yeah,
And there were a bunch of like little obstacle courses that I very much wanted to go on.
but they wouldn't let Noah off the boat.
They're like, no, you can't be Survivor. And I said,
No.
watch me.
But then they gave us all snorkel masks, and they're like, oh, this is just like a natural starfish sanctuary, and they were just like starfish twice as big as my hand, and I got big hands. All right.
They were,
And they were
big
just there.
starfish.
They were just there. There were like hundreds of them, all just all over the seafloor, as well as like a bunch of fish and like big crabs and other stuff. It's very interesting. Then right after that, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go snorkel on a coral reef now," and I was like, "What? Okay." So I donned my life jacket, got in the water with my little snorkel mask, and we were just swimming around. Like I swam through a school of fish like 4 times. It was amazing. It's like just seriously, that whole day was just experience after experience of just all completely new things to me. And it was all like the most beautiful place I could have been doing these things for the first time, you know? That day was definitely the highlight. I think for everybody on the trip, that was just like so packed, and just everybody was having a good time. We did ultimately lose my Bluetooth speaker, but it's okay because now I get a better one.
That's right, and it is 100% my fault. I'll take full responsibility, but we did get some great photos when I was hanging out with it. So at the end of the day, probably worth it.
Hashtag memories, hashtag RIP for.
I have it on on my to-do list today to get you a new one.
Yeah, let's go. USB-C, JBL, easy peasy.
Yeah, that's what's up.
That'll be good. Well, okay, if that's the high point, did you have any low points? To me, truly, the entire trip was just phenomenal. I really was just incredibly impressed with everything that we managed to put together for it, and it all just felt really great. But I don't know. I figure this is just an interesting direction to head in, because maybe there's
a low point. Let's say, all right, obviously saying bye to everyone yesterday.
That really sucked.
That totally blew, as they say in the club. Man, I feel like I got so much closer with everybody.
Yeah.
And just to have to be like leaving them so soon.
It's so weird to like go back to that. I'm very curious to see what our first call is going to be like all together in the Discord again, because the group dynamic is just so different now. Like, don't get me wrong. Everybody meshed together really well, and I was really impressed how well our group dynamic translated to being in person. But it's just on another level now, you know? Which also makes me feel kind of bad for Will. I wonder what that's going to be like, but I don't know. I wanted to be more sincere with everybody. Like, I feel like I had more things to say yesterday when saying goodbye to everybody, but I think it was just so difficult that I just kind of closed myself off a little bit.
I always feel that way every time I say goodbye to someone. I was like, damn, I wish I said more. It's just hard to do that in the moment.
Yeah. Especially when it's just like awkward timing, you know, because it's like
I gotta go.
We had to go on the flight, or like
Yeah.
Jackson had to go leave for his flight, and so we're like just kind of standing there awkwardly waiting for like his group to be called, and then like we didn't with. I'm trying to stop saying Barbara for Vadia. It was like, well, we don't actually get to have like more hangout time. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, you're gonna go hang with Sam now, you know. It's kind of stunk.
Totally stunk. We could have probably been more productive on that trip as well.
Okay. If I'm looking at it from yeah, all right. I guess that's kind of a low point for me. Turns out it is way more difficult to get people to want to chat Ravie planning in person for extended periods of time. Noah and I are just so used to doing it
when you're in
and also in fucking paradise. So like take that into account for sure. But like Noah and I are also just so used to talk. We could do Ravie like big picture stuff for hours on end. But with the group, it was very clearly like 1 hour is like the maximum amount of time that people could be talking about stuff while it's still being productive. I don't know.
I wish we had more sessions doing that.
But I feel like I'm kind of glad that we got the amount that we did, and I don't really think we needed to belabor on it much more. We kind of screwed ourselves a little bit, I'll say. So we already kind of had most of the conversations that I would have wanted to have on the retreat early on in the year, you know? So it's not really like we missed a whole lot. It's just that like I kind of wanted to save it for that, but with all like the visa problems and all that shit, like we weren't able to do it in like January, you know? Which like that is one thing that I'd like to do. If we can do a retreat like right at the beginning of next year, or like just sometime in January or early February, I think that'd be better, just so that there is more to like sort of put our heads down and figure out. But I will say, I think that we got as much as we would have gotten even if we had more sessions anyway. Most of what we talked about, especially like social strategy and all that stuff, is what's going to make everything else fall into place anyway.
I think so. Action first, right?
Yeah, you know, we just kind of have to do the thing, and then we'll see results from that. That's really the only input that we can give. There's not really any other like super smart, crafty ways that we could be doing things right now necessarily that would like be as effective as just doing that.
Yeah. There's always that thought in the back of my head. I'm like, I wish I took advantage of being in person with everyone
I know.
a little bit more. Maybe like made TikToks with Barbara or something, but
I think this was, I think we got the important bit of being in person, and that was just really solidifying the team and the group dynamic. I think that is going to pay way more dividends than if we had necessarily like
I mean, at the end of the day,
made more
that is
content, you know?
kind of what was most important. It's just being there in person with everyone. And I think that is exactly what we did. So
I mean, we knew it would make the group like this, you know, and it did. It really worked
now
out.
we all have new nicknames in our internal server. More things to teach
There's
each
more
other about.
inside jokes. It's good. And now I can much better visualize and understand people's tone whenever they're talking with us, I think.
That's true. That's very helpful.
I can imagine the body language.
Can kind of read them a little better in like in a friendly way.
Yeah, which is very helpful. Because sometimes you just can't really tell how things come across, or like if somebody's getting upset or like stressed out or whatever, you know. But now we can. We know all the secrets. Haha.
We know all secrets.
Leah says, "Why couldn't Will come?" His trial period with Ravie. So we brought him on for like 3 weeks just to like make sure that it felt like a good working relationship, and that he had a good time, we had a good time, whatever. And then once we decided to move forward with an extension on his contract, it was only like 2 weeks before the retreat, and it was going to be really hard to get like flights and all that stuff settled in that amount of time without it costing like a crazy amount of money. And he's also in school, so it probably would have been really difficult for him to get out anyway.
Yeah, he's like in a busy section, I think.
Yeah. But he is free in September, so if Ravie just blows up and does like $1 million in revenue before then or something, then we'll just do another one and he can go then.
Exactly. We'll hang out.
It'll be good.
Again.
Yeah. Also, speaking of hanging out, schedules are feeling a little tight because we were just in the Dominican for a week, but also next week, Noah and I will be hanging out at CoMotion.
That is true.
At SCAD.
SCAD motion design thing.
We're not speaking or anything, but we are reviewing, I think, 16 students' different portfolios and things, and we will be there to hang and chat. So that'll be good.
I'm speaking to whoever comes up to me. So
there you go.
If you go to SCAD /
no people at SCAD, come hang out. We'll be there. And speaking of that as well, we'll be going to Dash Bash in July 20th and the 21st, right down the street.
Dershing. We've gotten a fair bit of people being like, are you going? And before we haven't been sure, but it is now. Where's my voice? Confirmed that we are.
It said,
I'm sorry, it's the lack of Dominican air here.
It's kind of true. It does feel very different.
Like, do I need a new like filter for the AC in this house or something?
I know.
My cough kind of came back.
I realized that this morning. I was like, he really didn't cough much there. There's a reason people live so much longer, I think, when they live in a tropical place. But
fuck this.
I don't know. Yeah. So for a while, we didn't have a straight answer because we kind of figured that Dash was going to ask us to do something with them, and then we'd get tickets through that. And then they finally did. So we're gonna work with them on part of the opening video for the event. So
it's going to be swell.
Yep. And I shan't say more than that, but that's what we'll be doing. So if you're gonna go to Dash Bash, we'll hang out. It'll be a good time.
Justin and Austin are going.
That's right. Well, I'll be hanging. I know there's lots of people in the Discord that are going to be going too, so it'll be good. And we'll try to bring, and we'll probably be able to bring him Seti, but we're going to try and bring Jackson as well. Words out on if that's going to be possible, since he is ultimately having a child within a couple months.
A whole child, and that almost made him not able to go to the retreat.
But thank God he did. That was amazing.
I'm so happy that we got to hang out with Jackson. He's my favorite. I love him.
Whoa. He has a favorite. Oh my God. It totally sounded like you said out of everyone, and when you said I love him.
Oh. They're all my
He's totally my favorite out of everyone.
These are my favorite people.
I agree.
Period.
Yeah. No, it was really great. But yeah, we'll be hanging out at Dash Bash. We'll be hanging out at Commotion, and then next year, Noah and I will probably be able to go to like off in Barcelona and all that other stuff. But for now, those are the two that we're doing. I have something booked for like every month for the next 6 months of the year. This is going to be
True.
7 months of the year.
This is for the next few months too.
This is going to be way too much.
Like shit is about to change.
Yeah, and then we also going to have
into a
like
season of just so much happening.
The company's going to blow up even more.
The company's absolutely going to blow up.
We have our biggest deal on the table right now that we're going to... Excuse me, I got to sign documents for today.
Yeah.
It's going to be a whole thing.
That's going to be insane.
But speaking of motion...
It's going to be crazy, man. We're no longer going to be in the same city.
I know.
That's going to feel weird. We're probably going to have like a topic on this show about that around that time.
Yeah. Noah and I will both be moving around June, so...
That is crazy. Austin will stay generally in the same area, and I will be
off in New York.
Off in the big old apple.
Off in New York. And then I will probably... Apple. Well, who knows? But I figured that I'll probably end up being around here for a couple years, and then who knows where after that.
It is the big, great beyond... I don't know where I was going with that. So many possibilities. Who knows where we're going to be. But I'm excited to see.
I am as well.
I know, different cities. It's going to be crazy. But we have been working a remote for a little bit, apart from being
other than the retreat
together.
We have basically been working at different locations for the past like 2 months, roughly. So it's really no big deal. We're already used to it. Jonas, well, okay. Moonivation says, how did you two become friends?
We met in
college, and then
technically on a Discord server before college.
Out of college, yeah.
We both dropped out of college together.
I spent most of my childhood in Texas, and so when I decided I wanted to go to North Carolina for school, I knew I didn't know anybody here, so I started following anybody that I could that I saw had College of Design 2023 on their Instagram or Snapchat or whatever, and then made group chats with those people. So I made one big Snapchat group chat with everybody that I had met, and it was just, from within there that a couple of us were like, oh, let's start a Discord instead.
Yeah.
And
I apparently was not privy to putting that in my bio, but I did go there for summer school, and some of the people, like early college, and some of the people that I met were also going to the design school, and they were like, we have a chat, and I was like, okay, let's do that. And we met through there.
Yep. And that was it. Jonas says, going personal gives you a dimension that you simply can't reach online. Jealous you guys are able to do that. Oh, dude, me too. I'm jealous of me a week ago right now. He also says, how did you figure out how much you charge for bigger clients? Do you just reach high and pray, or do you calculate somehow? I mean, we've gone through like every pricing model at this point, but what we do now is just say like, okay, how long is the animation going to be generally? Even if it's like multiple pieces, if it's like 2 30-second pieces or something, we'll just say, okay, generally we're doing 60 seconds of animation. And then we have a pricing list internally that we're like, from like up until, so like a 15-second is this amount, and a 30-second is this amount, and so on, up all the way up until like 6 minutes or something. But the way we got there before was just being like, how many hours does it take us to do this stuff? What hourly rate do we want to be charging? But truly now it is just a like gut feeling, like, does this feel like the right amount of money for this or not? And then we just we just charge a flat rate, which makes it way easier because we don't have to deal with like, well, is it actually going to take this amount of time or this amount of time? Because I think paying for your time is kind of silly, especially being as quick as we are. We would certainly be shooting ourselves in the foot if we were charging based on time.
Sure.
Yep. Oh, Tharva is back.
What's up?
Says, where were you for so many days? The Dominican Republic on our first review retreat.
That's right.
Yep. But enough about the retreat. I think we've spent 30 minutes talking about it, and I think that's plenty for now. So let's hop on in.
Y'all gonna get vlogs about it anyway.
Yeah, you're gonna get so many vlogs about it. It's gonna be fun.
That's all you get for now.
And I'm sure we'll still be making references and jokes for the next, like all of next week.
Many moons.
Yeah.
Let's pull up some. Well, okay.
Well, no, we got to talk about our
First, we got to
topics. It's
talk
gonna be a
about
long show, y'all.
the topic.
Just a little bit though. We'll be quick. We'll be quick through these. First of
Let's
all,
start with Mr. Corridor.
I'm
First of
sure
all,
some
what?
of you have probably heard of this. That's what I was going to say, the Corridor Crew thing. I'm sure some of you have heard of this. Corridor Crew is a channel on YouTube. You probably all know them that do like VFX artists react to different VFX in movies and those sorts of things. They don't really do a whole lot of motion design necessarily. They're much more in 3D and simulations and those sorts of things. VFX, you know. But
VFX.
anyway, they often do really crafty ways of like recreating things from movies in a way that seems like approachable for the average person. And so with the rise of AI and yada yada, you know, eventually they were going to make a video that was using that. So what they did was train a model, an AI model based on a bunch of anime. And then they were able to essentially take video footage that they had and feed the anime references into this AI alongside this video, and then spit out a new version of that video that was like stylized in the same way as the anime content that they fed into it. I am glossing over a lot of what they did there, but that's the general premise.
You want to pull it up? I have the link for you if you want.
Sure. Why not? But generally, I think people were more upset about the language that they were using in the video.
They talked about it. They talked about their process.
They talked about their process, and some of the way that they talked about 2D animation especially was very much in like AI is democratizing 2D animation, like it was something that only a couple people could do before, but realistically, we all know if you have pen and paper or whatever, it might not necessarily be fantastic, but everybody has access to animating things. Especially if it's just pen and paper. If you're talking about on a computer, then I mean, there's a bunch of free programs and stuff now too. But anyway, so people didn't quite like that because a lot of people are worried about, you know, AI taking over people's jobs and those sorts of things. And they were very much painting it in a way where it was like yeah, you guys aren't going to need to exist anymore sort of thing. Like, we can do this so fast and whatever. But here's what I'll say. Here's my take.
What's your take? What's your take here?
Ben Marriott made a video on EB Synth, that plugin, like 1 or 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago even. This has already existed for a long time. You just like take some reference material and you can put it over top of your animation in After Effects or some footage or something, and it will stylize it in that way. Runway is also doing a very similar thing to what Corridor did, where you can like tell it to stylize the video in a certain way and it will recreate it and stylize it that way. But EB Synth essentially does the same thing. You give it some reference material and then it is able to stylize things in the same way. That's all it's doing though. It's not... The concepting behind all of this stuff has always been the secret sauce. If you're worried about just being able to animate or something, this is probably something that would be able to do that in some ways. But it's not going to be able to replicate the concepting and things, at least not now. That's the actual core of the job. Or the soft skills with the client communication and all those sorts of things. Because dealing with humans is pretty well done by other humans, more than a computer at times.
It is what we're built for.
And if you need... some references on how that's true, just look at your grandma trying to use her phone, or any adult trying to use any new piece of technology. But that's, I don't know. That's generally my take. They wrapped it up in a pretty bow and made it seem like this new unique thing, but it's really not. I don't know.
I mean, like, just the combination of all these like little techniques that they're using, I think they were able to achieve something really cool. I don't think that it is really a replacement for anything in particular. More just like more tools for people to make neat stuff. As is most of AI right now, in my view. And so, like, you know, that's fine. That's kind of a positive. But I don't think it's like necessarily democratizing much, other than just giving some people more easy access and a more
like
direct
higher
route
quality tools, maybe. I don't know.
Making more, I guess, like things that are closer to their original vision. But it just doesn't compare to anything that has been hand animated or actually done by a studio.
Yeah, it's like actually like manually using the speed graph or value graph versus just having flow or motion 3 or whatever and just using one of the default curves that they have in there. That's all that's happening here. You have more control, you know, when you're doing it manually.
And I will say there are so many facets to making a piece of media like this, even that it's only 7 minutes. There is, like, you have to be good at so many things to make it happen. And they are not, shall I say, they are not professional voice actors. And so, like, there are just areas of quality that are just not there. And that's despite the visuals looking pretty cool. Like, although I will say the AI stuff is still, like, very choppy and whatever. Yeah. And just not like how it would be. But the backgrounds are pretty, I think. And some of the effects are like, wow, that's pretty spot on. But, like, some areas are just not there. And one of those is voice acting. Like, that, I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I see what you're trying to do. But in some of the delivery, I'm like,
it's just not quite hitting.
I'm like, come on, you can do better than that. But yeah, no, it's no replacement, but it is a very neat thing. That's what I'll say on that, honestly.
Yeah,
I kind of get the controversy,
but it's really nothing to be afraid of. And also, I mean,
people online will say whatever. So,
and also most people, like, Corridor is playing in a different area than most other people that would have been concerned about the democratizing line, you know? Like, you're not really competing all that much. Nobody's gonna be going to Corridor really asking for an ad or something in that style or whatever. And especially that type of animation is mostly done for leisure. Like, it's mostly like a passion project, like creative outlet. It's not even like it's a necessarily something that you're doing commercially. So I don't know. I don't quite understand, like, the fear as much. If it's not something that's taking money away, then, like, what is it really doing? You can still make whatever you want. They're not really taking any of that away from you. I don't really think that they chose the best language, but I think it's also, like, they probably wanted this. You know?
Any controversy is good controversy. I mean, that's not how that goes. Help me out here.
All publicity is good publicity.
There it is. So whatever. And they make money off of publicity, so at the end of the day, they're chilling. They're fine with us, I think.
Yeah. No, we're gonna have to upgrade Dropbox. Darn.
Dagnabbit.
I know.
I don't like Dropbox.
I don't either. Google Drive is way better. Google, if you want to sponsor us, hit us up, because I will say that all day.
Asks a very interesting question. Do you think any other platform could replace YouTube? Not for a good bit.
Not for a long time, no.
YouTube has made so many mistakes, and they are still by far the top.
And it's just no competition. Not even fucking close. Also, the scale that you have to be able to store this amount of video, and just the systems that they have in place to make this work, and the fact that the revenue split is still more in favor of creators, nobody else is going to have that. I mean, we saw that with Instagram doing this meta verified thing. I was listening to another podcast this morning. They were mentioning that they had the Instagram CEO, when talking about it, was straight up talking about how, like, oh yeah, it's a big movement in social media that, like, people are just going to have to start to pay to use the platforms. I'm like, you're making the money from the people on the platform, and now you're going to bait and switch and have them pay you. And they also made another interesting point, which I thought was kind of fun. What we were talking about the other day were, and you know, with my Instagram account in particular, it's been a lot harder to grow it recently. A lot of that is because people seem to think at this point, all these social media platforms have kind of turned the faucet off, other than YouTube and I guess LinkedIn. So mainly just Twitter and Instagram. Now that they're doing more of this monetization, they're going to make you pay to have to reach that audience that you have. It's not going to reach all of it. There's a real reason why it's only hitting like a third of the people every time we post something, you know? And it's because they'd much rather you buy ads. So it's, even though I don't have that creator account enabled, the sheer size of the account is enough to make it seem like you're getting, like, I'm getting more benefit out of the platform than they are. You know?
Have we talked about this on the show yet?
A little bit, not this particular like facet of it, but we had talked about like Meta introducing like paying for verification and that sort of stuff.
Right, I remember that. Yeah.
But not that facet of it being like, even if you just have a larger account now, they're just going to make you pay to actually do anything with it.
That is so weird.
Really odd.
I mean, people will. I don't think it's a bad idea necessarily on their part.
To know, they're going to make way more money off of just like it being a microtransaction to each people or to each person.
It just
using
absolutely,
it,
I feel, at least at the beginning, is going to feel real icky for a lot of people.
Agreed.
Reflected in the chat right now.
It's gonna be a mess, but it might just be what has to happen because these social platforms need their money, and if they're not getting it from advertisers, they have to get it from creators.
And maybe it'll be a pendulum thing where it'll swing to the getting it from creators, and then advertisers will now be more interested.
Yeah.
Or maybe the advertisers will be more interested in, because those creators have those new costs, and
like there's more
the people that are driving the thing, maybe they buy in more into creators and that kind of like stuff rather than going directly to the brands that are hosting the creators, which could be at the end of the day a pretty positive change.
Agreed.
So who really knows? It could at the end of the day just be the way things progress, and it could have it's going to have a lot of negatives, it's going to have a lot of positives, but maybe the positives outweigh the negatives. Who knows?
Yeah,
there's a chance. I can see it.
And
I have hope.
At the end of the day, I kind of see it as like if we're all paying for it, it's kind of democratized a little bit. Like we're all kind of supporting this thing together, I guess, but we're already doing that with us being the content on the platform. So I don't know. It's going to be a really strange shift, but I guess if I really look back at it now, it does make a lot of sense that this was kind of the inevitable thing to happen.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to have those services be free for so long? You know, ChatGPT could totally bring in an age of like paid search and stuff. Like everything that we've gotten used to being free online could very well be monetized with microtransactions and just all put it into a subscription package because people are so willing to pay for those now, you know? Mm-hmm. I mean, hell, there's a reason we're doing Delight. It's way easier to manage.
People got very comfortable with that stuff.
Yeah. And it's way easier to calculate like, oh, I'm already paying this amount in subscriptions, which is this percentage of like an employee is a subscription for a business, you know? Like, it all kind of makes sense, and it's way easier to work out
when you put it that way.
You know? But
that's very fun.
I don't know. That's kind of the vibe. Is that... Okay, now we got to talk about Figma. My bad. Oh, except John Stewart said TLDR what the corridor controversy is. Go back like 10 minutes or 15 minutes or something in the chat or in the stream. Anyway... Orion says there is a subscription coming soon for ChatGPT. Oh, yeah. I meant more just like maybe Google introduces some sort of like Google One subscription. I mean, they already have something called that, but it could very well just be like, you have a Google account, you have this many searches per month. You can do this much if you have the subscription or something.
Yeah, I wonder how search engines are going to change. We'll maybe talk about that in the future.
But
I'm so interested.
Let's chat this Figma deal, shall we? Because I know we were all there were some people that were real upset about it before, but I got pretty excited about it because if they can bring the Figma design knowledge and user experience to all the Adobe products, that's life-changing for us.
They should absolutely learn from the team at Figma.
Absolutely.
Figma's program works great. It's so fast. It just has a good feel. It's fast as hell.
It's so zippy.
It's zippy. It's beautiful. It makes a lot of sense. And it still has its like little intricacies, but Adobe's products, I don't think I can say exactly the same thing.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
Legitimately, it would be, and I think everybody agrees with me on this. This is pretty uncontroversial. It would be a dream come true if After Effects was as fast as Figma.
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me?
Be
everybody would use that program. Hell, I might even use it like I would just never have to use Photoshop again. Honestly.
Yeah.
It does everything.
Shoot, you do so much, but that's not the case right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's the controversy, Austin?
It's not a controversy.
What's the happenings? What's the poppin'?
It looks like the Figma deal might get blocked by the Department of Justice.
Figma deal is Adobe
buying Figma for $20 billion, which is, I believe, one of the biggest tech acquisitions of all time, if not the biggest one.
How much was Twitter?
Okay, well, I guess that was 44 billion. So never mind. But maybe, I don't know. It was number one in some category. I can't remember. But anyway, the U.S. Department of Justice is prepping an antitrust lawsuit to stop the deal from happening, which I will admit I'm not super surprised by, because I was shocked that they even announced it to begin with, because I was like, if Adobe's able to buy Figma, they'll be able to buy anything they want, because Figma already had
nothing sacred.
Figma already had a super dedicated community and had a very strong team and whatever, and for that to be able to be snatched up like that, like they had huge competition to Adobe. But I don't know. It was just, I was very surprised. Somebody in our Motion Liftoff workshop Discord sent it while we were on the retreat. Actually, while we were on that island, that super, super nice beach. And I was like, what? Okay. Because it felt like it was so long after the deal was announced that this happened.
Those deals take forever to be implemented.
But you would think that those sorts of like Department of Justice checks would happen before a PR announcement, you know?
Government being slow, like what?
They're just like, no, we'll just figure this out later.
But I wonder if it would have gone through if
it
was like a different country.
Probably. I feel like the U.S. handles antitrust the most often, doesn't it? Because most of those gigantic companies are here. But I don't know. I don't know. I also just find it weird that like this will get flack, but then if like, I don't know. I feel like there's a bunch of other companies that should be having antitrust lawsuits that don't. Like, why is it on this? Like, this would make a lot of sense. And clearly both parties are having a great time, because as Justin said in the chat, the Figma founder must be punching the air right now. Hell yeah, that dude wants to be a billionaire. Are you kidding me? Of course he wants that.
He is, right?
It'd be a perfect deal. I actually have no idea, but
I have zero clue.
That is so much money. And I mean, hell, if we were ever going to sell Ravie, I would love for it to be some number like that. Like, come on. Jesus. That's insane.
Oh my God. It's nuts, man. I can't believe that shit's happening.
I know.
I think a lot of like how other giant companies are made is through like sneaky ways of breaking themselves up in a way. Having different companies for like holding companies and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think Adobe's doing that. And so by being one of the, I mean, I have no idea. This is all complete conjecture, but maybe by being one of the only companies that is not trying to pull a sneaky, they are getting docked for it.
Yeah, they're not.
But I don't know. I have no real like they should or shouldn't be an antitrust lawsuit happening.
I can just see the benefits.
I can see both sides
for like how much it helps us, you know.
Of Adobe having Figma?
Yeah, because...
and then there is the other side of like Adobe, please don't ruin it like you've ruined all the other things.
That's true.
But I don't know. I don't think Adobe will necessarily ruin it. I think that they're smarter than that.
Well, yeah.
They kind of know that like this is a very beloved program.
Yeah, it has its own user base already. That they can easily get to go and transition to Adobe products as well. Or like add to their repertoire, you know? Like,
just don't change the price and maybe like include it with Adobe. I don't even know.
Yeah, just like include it with Creative Cloud to get that premium subscription or something. It just makes Creative Cloud more valuable for them.
You could have a like UI UX one specifically, and it'd be like the same price as just the Figma, and it includes Figma and maybe like another Adobe program, and that gets the user base like used to using Adobe, and then maybe they'll upgrade it from there. I don't know. That's like a very clear upsell route. Maybe they'll do that. Maybe this will go through and they won't even be able to have Figma in the first place. So
yeah,
who knows?
Like if it was a company that I hated, I'm sure I would be having lots of like why I oughta. But I know we all joke.
These companies.
I know we all joke about like Adobe but like I genuinely have no problems with them. I don't understand what all the uproar is about. Like they are tools that make it so I can make money that I never thought I could make for this business, you know? Yeah. Like I am very grateful that they exist, even as jank as they are, because I'll still use them.
Possible. Adobe Gur, but I'm still wearing their socks.
Yeah,
So
I'm still gonna use it.
and using their programs each and every day. So at the end of the day, you know, I have a lot to thank them for.
Exactly. Agreed.
And who would say no to talking at like Adobe Max or something? So
Not me. I'll tell you that much.
I'll be there.
All right. Well, on that note, why don't we review some freaking work, shall we?
Would love to review some freaking work.
Thank God. First, some questions in the chat. Jose G says, have you ever tried Fable? It's very similar to Figma, but for motion design. I'm not sure it's real time, though, but it's online. I have not, but I'll look it up, and then maybe we'll talk about it on the next stream. Atharva says, what are your dream? We're getting a real deep on the show today. Let's save that for a show next week. That's going to take a lot of time to talk about.
Yes. Also next week, we're going to do a
project breakdown
of another Keller Williams project.
Of our new Keller Williams project.
Better one. Never before seen.
Well, no, I mean, it has been seen on the last stream, but
by never before seen, I mean
never been posted. Never
seen the files.
Yeah,
never posted.
That's right. It's gonna be good. I'm punching.
Probably
the camera.
new for a fair bit of you.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's review some freaking work, my friends.
Let's do that.
Here we go. First one is from Shaolin. The Shaolin Temple made this video. Here we go. That was satisfying.
Oh.
Okay.
What is this? That had a very strange vibe switch in the middle.
Yep, it was really cool, and then it was not. Really cool, really cool. Okay. That feels great right there. That feels good. And then what?
What is happening
What is happening
here?
here?
Who is this lizard man?
Who is this guy?
Why is the text all like left aligned on kind of the right side of the screen? I don't know what's happening.
And why is it all filled in? And why is it like, why is
I have
this?
so many questions now.
Why is this just like 5 pixels offset from the bar that it's on? And why?
What happened?
Why did we have this thing? What is this thing? And then it just like motion blurs into this guy. What's going on here?
What is going on here?
It just like this makes so much like this all feels like it's cohesive and all part of the same thing. This feels premium. Like that transition right there. That feels really fucking nice. I love that.
I would fade off some of the text on the left while you're doing that because it kind of sits there a little bit.
But then we get here and it's just not consistent. Like this does not match in quality to what you had made here. So I just kind of get let down.
Yep. I don't know what's going on. I also don't know what it's for.
Things which could just be our fault because this is saying Q3. I'm assuming this might be some like NFT project or something based on this, but I really don't know.
Maybe.
But that being said, let me try and identify the things that feel inconsistent quality-wise between these. Like what's making me feel that way. Okay. So, first, I mean, this is just high quality footage. Somebody in the chat says cough stolen sequence cough. Could very well be the case given the quality of the animation at the end. But it's like high quality footage. This text is pretty well laid out, and then it's generally pretty smooth. Feels very like regal and cinematic in here. And then when you get in here, these like speed lines do not feel good. They feel cheap. They're moving kind of fast. There's some weird, like it's just like a wiggle expression on top that's just shaking everything around in a weird way. We're no longer centered. Everything was centered before. Everything's like right aligned now. This motion blur does not match anything that was there before.
Echo.
Some sort of smear or something would have been better than just a bunch of duplicates of this. And also, this just doesn't match the style of anything else that's here. It just doesn't.
So we go from these nice, like, photographic elements,
like,
and this clean typography, to this static, very stylized illustration.
Yeah.
With typography that doesn't match.
It doesn't even move. It just like sits on the screen.
And nothing moves. And that all together makes it super weird and inconsistent for me.
It just doesn't make sense. Like, watch it all without sound. Look at how much movement's happening. Look at all this. We're going in between all these different scenes.
We
got
slow down. We have. Yes.
And then it's just like,
Oh,
now it's just
what?
stuck. Now it's just like a static ad. What's happening here? Why is there motion blur here, but there wasn't before? What is going on?
It looks like, yeah, I don't know. It's really strange.
And on that note, boom roasted.
Boom roasted.
Boom roasted.
Bird.
All right, here we go. Yeah, pay hip from Miguel J. This is promising.
The digital world has been massively growing in the last few years. It changed the way we learn, the way we share, the way we create and help each other.
Loving how much like
maybe you're a
general
musician,
movement and
a designer,
universe there
a writer. Well, the point is, have you ever thought about selling your knowledge in the digital world without any complications? Then PayHip's got you covered.
What did you do to the VO?
We make it a piece
I
of
was
cake
wondering
to
that
sell
too.
your digital assets. Just create an account, choose a plan that suits you best, and you're ready to go.
You have a lot of accent
Not
elements,
only
yet
do we
this
make it easy to sell,
still feels
but we
pretty
also
empty.
make it easy for others to buy and learn from you. We also provide tools and statistics for you to keep an eye on how your products are doing.
I don't mind that. I like that.
PayHip keeps it simple so you can focus on your creations.
That motion at the end felt way more intricate than like the rest of it, but like that logo animation had so much more going on than the other stuff.
So I can condense my thoughts.
General note for me is style and consistency.
Yeah.
The digital world has been
All the colors work together fine. But it's the amount of detail that you choose to put in different places.
We got
So-
gradients happening here. But the whole Earth is kind of flat and weird. Then you have a really like obvious gradient in the background at the same time, and it's just like
Sharp
it's not super consistent.
sharp corners here, rounded corners here, thin lines here, but then you get to this all felt good to me. I was trying to compliment you on like the actual
Like the
camera
atmosphere,
movement
yeah.
and yeah, the actual atmosphere and like parallax that you're using in each scene feels advanced, like feels really good. And helps to make it feel more alive.
And most of the issues in this
This section is where I really started to be like, wait a second. Like
yeah.
yikes.
This- The design on this video needs TLC. The animation is, I think, pretty good.
Agreed. Like iconography, just I know it's because I used to do it all the time, so that's why I take issue with it. But it's just the easiest way to communicate things. Just try a little bit harder to find some other way to communicate that stuff. Like
Right.
I've seen this exact document icon, and I have made this exact document icon like over 50 times on different videos. You know, it's just got to do something a little bit different.
Or at least use that and make it more interesting.
Yeah.
Abstract it. But yeah.
These just stop here. I wasn't able to tell, like looking at this without the audio, I wasn't able to tell which one of these is actually going to hit this for a second, which felt a little confusing. The shading on this ball is not reacting
Strange.
to the lighting around
drop
it,
shadow is a little odd.
especially in here. We're supposed to be in this really bright white space, but it still has like, it just makes it feel 2D. Like you would set it up to make it seem like it was kind of 3D, but it just doesn't match with the lighting, so it doesn't.
Especially
doesn't
like
really
all
work.
these very 3D things happening here.
Yeah. Again, more iconography. There's just too much detail in some of the iconography as well. Like everything else is just general shapes, and then you're like, here's a very identifiable dollar sign. Here is very clearly a hand with folds.
I didn't
in it.
even register what these 3 cards were.
I
was-
didn't either. Actually,
My eye was on the little spinning cube that it moves. So I thought that was kind of fun.
even now, I mean, I know what PayHip is, so I can guess, but this is hard to understand at first glance. Like I get that it's PayHip doesn't take a commission. This one takes 5% and this one takes 2%. But like what do these mean down here? I don't know. Also, that warp was really out of place because it's just not used anywhere else.
Oh, I didn't
Like
notice
just
that.
bulging that guy was a little strange. I like the reactivity of this section quite a bit. I think it's fun.
I think the scene next to it that appears right here, way too similar.
True.
The only difference is essentially slight coloring and the icon. and that's like not really enough. I like this scene.
I hate this eye though. I don't like the design of it.
That's fair. It's a little, it's a lot. You could just take the center pupil thing out
It's also
because
just
you already have a pupil.
it's also just really sharp compared to
It is.
everything else. Like that was another thing I was trying to say earlier. Like you've got rounding on a bunch of stuff, and like you've got these circles, and so to have these like really awkwardly pinched edges, even though I know that's what an eye looks like, just feels weird. Like you could have just done a circle straight up, and it would have been fine. Also,
Just got all smear on it.
these guys feel like the stuff on the screens are way too big for what you would actually see in UI. So like give each of those some margin space in there, you know, make it more centered inside of each of these compositions or something. I thought this was fun though.
I think it's a fun idea. I think the weird turbulent displace on them at the beginning makes them feel really unsmooth. It's kind of strange.
But that transition in between feels great. I love that.
The way that they cut there doesn't really feel consistent with how I expect. Like you have these lines, you pull them tight, they have tension, and then you cut them and they just kind of slowly trim paths away.
They're
which
kind of
feels
droopy.
Strange to me because if you have tension in a cord or a rope and you cut it in the middle, it's not going to just slowly move away in its line. It's going to either like fall or it's going to like snap away from each other. You know what I mean? And so that felt a little strange for me.
This particular spot where this goes, like it just kind of, the logo just
Like
snaps up. Like it's not in the same spot. You clean that match cut up a bit. Also, Shalin replied based on the last one they reviewed, said, makes sense. Thanks for the feedback. In general, what would you advise to take the most care of when combining MoGraph and real life footage? I think it looked fine at the beginning. Just that was the part that worked. It was the second half that didn't work. Second half didn't look good. But also, then he said, also, that's not stolen. Paid dollars, LOL. Well, to that, I would just say don't use templates. It's obvious. If you can't match the quality of the templates, then it's not worth paying for the template.
Go find some examples where they combine footage and motion design really well and kind of analyze that.
Yeah.
I don't really have any off the top of my head, but well, actually, the massive assembly reel does that pretty well.
Fair.
I guess just kind of keep it simple.
Also, since Noah hasn't said it on this one yet, line weight consistency, especially since you use so many of them.
Yeah.
It would just help it feel more refined.
Yep.
Olgerd says, I feel like there are some parts of the good design, but there's too much repetition, I guess. Not everything is up to the same standard. Yes, I agree.
Yes, that's true.
Clearly lots of experience with logo animations, though, because this feels like some of the best animation out of the whole thing. Oh, he said paid footage sequence, I mean. Haha.
Oh, okay, I see.
Well, then still, you gotta make it matched. You gotta be able to match the quality, because that set really high expectations, you know?
Yeah.
Thank you, Miguel. I hope that was helpful. Boom roasted.
Boom.
One more.
Burned.
And we're on to our Rex. Okay, Devil Eye. Believe that it protects from bad stuff, and Evil Eye. I see you in Sauron. That's what it says. No audio on this one. I'm gonna try and pull it up. There we go.
Okay, so it feels very static. Not much is moving. You have a lot of little elements, but it doesn't exactly make sense to the eye, especially because the grid is zooming in and nothing else like zooms in. It just kind of
Everything
feels
stops.
a little strange.
My biggest gripe: light doesn't work that way. Like, light doesn't just stop at an endpoint. It would go across the entire screen, and light, like the viewing wouldn't only come out of the pupil. Like that whole thing is the eye, so the whole thing should be looking around. Also, you're making it look around. Why not move the pupil so it looks like it's actually looking over there? You know?
Yeah. There's also, you're using a lot of colors here. I don't think they
and
are
ones
all
that don't
loving
really
each
match,
other.
especially the inverted.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like difference or something. Blending mode
does not look good, especially with that green. Yikes! Everything other than this streak works okay together color wise. It really is just like that thing being orange is just really odd.
Yeah.
I would recommend doing like a light blue or a a slightly lighter green, or I don't. You could literally just take any of those colors that are already being used on there, and it would be better, other than the dark blue, and it would be all right.
The composition is also a little strange. These things get close to your margin while the eye, I don't know. It's just like,
It's just that there's nothing changing while these things are disappearing, so you end up with a really awkward looking composition, because here, well, before that one went away, it could feel kind of balanced, but now that that one's gone, now everything's weighted over here, and now that that one's gone, everything's weighted up here, and now everything's weighted up here, and then it's just completely unbalanced. Like there's
you
just
do have
not-
like a solid section where it's just the eye, and that's like a strange composition over there. Also, it rotates not from the little pinpoint when it comes in, I think it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
The shadow doesn't move.
think a little bit more about how this would actually move, you know? And how, like, if I were to have laser beams come out of my eyes right now, especially if that's what it is, if it's supposed to be a laser, it should be the width of the pupil and just go like straight out onto it. If my whole eye was a laser right now, the whole thing would be lit up and then all going out towards the camera. It wouldn't just
Quote
be
him on that.
This is where old Garrett's gonna make a meme of me saying me when I have lasers coming out of my eyes or something. No easing. That's what's going on now. I'm just gonna vaporize people if they don't have easing. Everything stops. It just sits. It would be cool to get some extra angles or something, because at the point where it makes one of these disappear, I already know what the rest of the animation is going to be. But now I just have to sit here and watch it get rid of all of these, you know? And just another one, just one more little thing, especially on this guy up here. Well, it's on all of them, but this guy, it makes like this is stinky lines up above it when it pops
does
away.
make this. I noticed that.
And they last for too long. It like stinky. But it's in like it's in like a weird position compared to like the other popping lines from the other stuff, you know?
One more thing. You're like stretching the text and stuff. And line weight consistency, I guess, as well.
Sure. Yeah.
You're getting some strange things with that.
I don't know.
Is it getting rid of curse words, by the way? Is that what is that bad stuff?
It protects
I don't
from
know.
bad stuff. Yes, so I guess so.
Okay.
I don't know. Boom roasted. I hope that was helpful.
Yeah,
And
we some Rex.
with
y'all.
that, we on to some Rex. I got to pull mine up, so I'm going to go with Noah first.
That's so fun because I also have to pull mine up.
Oh, just kidding. We're all going to take time to pull them up.
Where are mine?
Boom,
I don't even know.
boom. Oh my God, I have so many.
How many do you have? You don't have to do all of them. You can
I
save
know.
some for
I
tomorrow.
have 5.
I mean,
I'm gonna
Monday.
I'm going to save some for Monday.
Okay.
All right. Which ones do I want out of these?
Ooh,
gonna
definitely that one.
save-
That one's so sick.
No, I'm going to save that one for Monday. Same with that one.
Ooh, okay. Y'all get ready for Monday.
I
He's
have
got.
these 3.
God, okay, I will do 2. You go first then.
Okay, I'm on it. Here we go. Over to me. Yes. All right. Boom. Here is my first one. Y'all know
I
I
want one
love
of those
fast
so
stuff.
bad.
Okay, y'all
Oh
know
my
I love stuff
God.
that's fast and zippy
That is-
and has good match cuts and stuff, and that delivers all over it.
That is something for everyone. I also love the type in this. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. Can we watch it again? Watch it one more time.
Yes, we can.
Beautiful. Thank you. It loops too. Oh shit.
So many different little like style pieces and stuff.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good, man.
It's so good.
It just randomly popped up on Twitter. I don't follow the person or anything, and it was just there, and I was like, "Yep, okay, that's a rec for me." Wonderful. Shouts out. If I could pronounce it, I would. I promise. But also, they got 340,000 views on it, so they're probably doing okay. Anyway, that's one of mine. Here's another one. This is one scene from this new rebrand that this studio is doing. It's so like the actual technique ends up being so simple. Like really staring at it for a second, I can figure out exactly how it was done, and it's not hard to make at all. But it's just so creative. It's just so creative in the way that it's done, you know? It's just cool.
I love it.
It really
That's so much
sells it
fun.
so well. It's just really
I
pretty.
love that. That's great.
I love
It's
it.
fantastic. You got one more?
I got one more. All right, this isn't even necessarily motion design, but it's just a really interesting thing that I think would be cool to figure out how to implement some stuff with like this kind of thinking into our videos. This person made a button in Figma or who knows what, but they made it super shiny. Like you've seen plenty of shiny buttons or whatever, but they actually used the webcam and blurred it a bit so it looks like it's actually this perfectly mirrored piece of metal because it's like you could actually reach out and grab that thing because it's using the real reflections in the room because it's actually using the webcam. I thought that was super interesting.
You have any idea what this
And a fun time.
blur is happening? Is it like he's smudging it with his mouse?
Yeah, I think so.
That's kind of fun.
Like fingerprints. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's so cool. It's so cool. I love that. Yeah, it's just smudging it like fingerprints. That's really fun.
That's fun.
It's so cool. I love that. I love that. It's really great. But those are my recs. Those are my recs for the day.
Those are fantastic. All right, let me share my little screen with
Now,
you.
back to you. Back to Noah with his recs of the day. Or, sorry, back to ¿Cuál es el mejor de aquí? With his recs of the
¿Cuál
day.
es el mejor de aquí? There you go. So
right.
this one is by Coat of Arms. Fantastic stuff. Also designed by, I don't remember her name, but she's fantastic. She's worked with lots of cool people before. Maybe I'll pull up her Instagram in another stream. Here you go. Check it out.
If the invention of the rocket
Oh, this one.
led to landing a man on the moon, which led to the
Lovely
International
sparkly trail.
Space Station,
Mhm.
which led to communicating with a comet 6 billion miles away.
Love the little
What's
texture
next?
happening. A little dot grid.
We provide guidance, find solutions, and connect people with technology that makes life better. Aero Electronics. 5 years out.
Nice and short, as it fucking should be.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Some really great
If
scenes.
the
Love this
invention
first
of
one.
the rocket
Yum.
led to landing a man on the moon,
Great stuff, great stuff. Lots of great texturing work, a little bit of detail. They blend a lot of little different subtleties in the style in great ways. Geometric, all kinds of stuff. So, big cool stuff there. Next one is by Yat Feng Lung. And it is just, we're going to watch a minute of prettily animated snacks in 4K. So get ready. Come on. That's fun.
Some flan. That's definitely copyrighted.
I'm gonna just go ahead and turn that off. I think that it's fun, man. Everything's so shiny
Yummy butter.
and alive.
Very reflective.
Look at that croissant.
It
Look
all
at that
feels a
pit,
little like how things were rendered for VR.
Yeah, it feels like a little old in a weird kind of fun way,
Yeah.
which works better on some textures rather than others.
Yeah.
But gosh darn if it isn't just a fun time, I'll tell you what. I like the commitment to the style here. And they really didn't have to to make everything so shiny like this.
No, they did not, but it really is.
And also, it's just real funny.
I know.
Funny stuff. This is definitely my favorite. This
Oh
is
yeah,
so
the little
cute.
pudding guy. It just
The little pudding guy.
and then it just
Love him.
The little
think it's
scoop
great.
is so satisfying.
Love a good spoon. Absolutely. Hilarious. Those are my recs. And that is the show.
The show. We're back
We're
from
back.
the Dominican, and all of next week we're gonna have shows, except for maybe when we have to go to Commotion.
Yeah, true.
But we'll figure it out. We'll make it happen. We'll probably be able to actually do on that day. We'll just leave like slightly later in the day or something.
Yeah, perhaps.
But we'll make it happen. Be prepared for daily motion showing all next week. It's gonna be a good time. We'll bring the recs. We'll bring the critiques. We'll roast the shit out of everybody, and we'll talk some fun motion stuff.
Absolutely.
In the meantime,
Anyway,
thank you guys for hanging. We're back.
Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend.
Boom. Get out of here. We'll
Now
see
go
ya.
on. Bye. Do, 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 do.